Did you know that one of the most silent, heartbreaking, and common diseases after age 60 often begins with signs so subtle you might not even notice them? I'm talking about dementia, particularly Alzheimer's disease, a neurological condition that doesn't just steal your memory, but slowly takes away your independence, your ability to care for yourself, and even the most precious moments of your life. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why? Struggled to find the right word? Or noticed your balance isn't quite what it used to be? Most people brush these off as just aging, but the truth is they can be early warning signs of something much more serious. Dementia doesn't strike overnight. It creeps in quietly through changes in posture, subtle confusion, or a growing disinterest in the things you used to love. But here's the good news. When caught early, there are steps you can take to slow it down, to protect your brain, to stay sharp, active, and independent longer. As a neurologist with over 30 years of experience, I've made this video to help you and your loved ones spot the 6 earliest signs of dementia before they turn into something much harder to manage. If you're watching right now and find this helpful, comment 1 below. If not, type 0 and tell me how I can improve. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a single health tip made just for you, because every memory matters. Now let's begin. Number 1, subtle changes in movement and posture. Let me start by telling you something most people don't realize. The way you walk can say more about your brain than your memory ever could. Movement is a language of the brain. When you see someone walking confidently, standing upright, or picking up a cup with ease, you're watching their nervous system in action. But past the age of 60, small changes in posture, balance, or coordination, often dismissed as aging, can actually be among the earliest signs of dementia. Here's why. Your brain controls every aspect of how you move. From the way you lift your foot to how you hold your shoulders, it all runs through complex neural pathways. But when those pathways begin to weaken due to early changes in the brain, you may notice small but meaningful shifts. One of the first signs? Shorter steps. Some older adults begin to shuffle their feet or drag them slightly as they walk. Others lose the natural swing of their arms. You might find yourself leaning forward without noticing or tilting slightly to one side. These changes may seem minor at first, but they can increase your risk of falling and suggest early disruption in motor control. Another sign is a difficulty performing everyday tasks that require coordination. Things like holding a spoon steadily, buttoning a shirt, or turning a doorknob may start to feel clumsy or awkward. You may even notice yourself gripping objects more tightly out of fear they'll slip. I remember a patient, Mr. Dale, who came to me after a few minor falls. He said, "I just thought I was getting older." But when we examined his gait, we found he was dragging his left foot slightly and compensating with his hips. His posture had changed, subtly but steadily. Further testing revealed early signs of cognitive impairment. The truth is, when the brain's motor centers are affected, your body starts speaking in whispers. Whispers that only become screams if ignored. What can you do? First, pay attention to how you move. If you notice shorter steps, leaning, or frequent stumbles, write it down. Record when it happens. Second, talk to your doctor. It might not be dementia, but it might be a chance to catch something before it progresses. Third, begin balance and strength exercises. Tai Chi, chair yoga, or even walking with awareness can help retrain your body and strengthen brain muscle connections. Movement is not just physical, it's deeply neurological. And when your steps change, it might be your brain's way of saying, "I need support." So take that message seriously, because prevention begins the moment you start to notice the small things and choose not to ignore them. Are you ready for the next sign? Let's talk about how dementia quietly alters the way we experience the world through our senses. Number 2, changes in the senses. When the world starts to feel strange. Imagine a normal morning. You walk into the kitchen to pour hot water into your teacup, but it spills over the edge. You head down the stairs and feel a little unsteady. Outside, the street sounds suddenly seem too loud, and you can't quite hear what the person next to you is saying. These aren't just signs of clumsiness or aging. They may be early warning signs that your brain is struggling to process the world around you. Dementia doesn't only affect memory, it impacts how your brain interprets sensory information. One of the earliest and most overlooked signs of cognitive decline is subtle changes in how you see, hear, smell, and perceive space. Take vision, for instance. Many people begin to misjudge distances. They bump into furniture, struggle to climb stairs, or spill drinks while pouring. These are signs that the brain is having trouble processing depth perception and spatial awareness. Loss of smell is another red flag, especially with Alzheimer's disease. It's one of the earliest signs and can appear years before memory loss. The inability to detect everyday scents like coffee, smoke, or even your own body odor is more than inconvenient. It's a neurological signal. And then there's hearing. Here's a sobering fact. Hearing loss in midlife is one of the strongest modifiable risk factors for dementia. When your ears can't keep up, your brain works harder to fill in the gaps, leading to fatigue, confusion, and eventually cognitive strain. I remember a patient, Ellen, age 72. She had started to withdraw from family gatherings. Her children thought she was depressed. But the truth was, she couldn't hear well and was embarrassed to keep asking people to repeat themselves. Her hearing loss was severe, and her cognitive testing showed signs of early decline. The good news? Sensory changes can be spotted early and supported. Ask yourself, do you often misjudge distances or bump into things? Do you struggle to hear in noisy environments like restaurants or parties? Have you noticed a diminished sense of smell? If yes, talk to your doctor. A hearing test, vision exam, or smell test can offer valuable insights. An early intervention may help reduce cognitive load on the brain. You can also protect your senses naturally. Eat anti-inflammatory foods like leafy greens, berries, and omega-3 rich fish. Limit exposure to loud noise and give your ears time to rest. Exercise your spatial memory with puzzles, board games, or reorganizing your home intentionally. Remember, when your senses start to blur, it may be your brain's gentle whisper for help. Don't ignore it, because sometimes the way you smell, hear, or see the world is your first signal that something deeper is going on. Coming up next, we'll explore a surprisingly powerful predictor of brain health, how strong your grip is, and what weak hands may be trying to tell you. Number 3, weak grip and loss of muscle strength. When your hands speak for your brain, have you ever struggled to open a jar that used to be easy, or found your hands trembling just holding a cup of tea? It might surprise you, but the strength of your hands, your grip, could be telling you something important about the health of your brain. Over the past decade, scientists have uncovered a strong link between muscle weakness in older adults and an increased risk of developing dementia. Grip strength, in particular, is more than a measure of physical ability. It's a silent indicator of neurological function. Think of your grip as a messenger. When your brain begins to lose control of motor signals, the first to go are often the finer, more complex movements, like turning a key, opening a medicine bottle, or writing a shopping list. That's why researchers now consider declining grip strength as one of the earliest physical clues of cognitive impairment. And it's not just about the hands. Many older adults notice that their arms or legs feel weaker over time. They may avoid certain activities like lifting groceries or walking long distances, not just because of fatigue, but because their muscles don't respond the way they used to. Why does this happen? The brain and muscles are in constant communication. When neurons that control movement begin to break down, muscles don't receive the same clear signals. At the same time, reduced physical activity leads to poor circulation and less oxygen to the brain, creating a vicious cycle. Less movement, less brain stimulation, more decline. Let me tell you about Mr. Howard, a retired mechanic who came to see me with one complaint. "Doctor, I can't squeeze the toothpaste tube like I used to." That simple statement led us to a neurological exam where we found early cognitive changes. It wasn't just his muscles. It was his brain asking for attention. So what can you do? First, test your grip at home. Try squeezing a tennis ball several times. Can you maintain the pressure? Try opening a tight jar. Notice any hesitation or shaking. If you feel weaker than before, don't brush it off. Talk to your healthcare provider. Simple strength tests can help track subtle changes, and there are powerful ways to rebuild that mind-body connection. Use hand grippers or squeeze balls for a few minutes each day. Practice resistance exercises like lifting light weights or using resistance bands. Stay active with daily walks to improve circulation and oxygen delivery to the brain. Consider light physical therapy or occupational therapy if weakness persists. It's never too late to rebuild strength. And here's the hopeful part. Muscle is one of the most trainable tissues in the body, even into your 80s and 90s. And when your body gets stronger, so does your brain. So don't underestimate your grip. It may seem like a small thing, but sometimes your hands are the first to speak when your brain is starting to struggle. Next, we'll explore a symptom many overlook or even laugh off, but it could be your brain's most urgent cry for help: changes in your sleep. Let's talk about what your nights are trying to tell you. Number 4, sleep disturbances. When the night reveals what the brain hides. Do you often wake up in the middle of the night, unsure why, or feel completely drained during the day, even after a full night's sleep? Maybe you lie awake for hours unable to drift off, or find yourself having vivid dreams so intense they leave you startled. Many of us assume these changes in sleep are a normal part of aging. But the truth is, sleep is one of the clearest windows into brain health, and disturbances in your sleep may be among the earliest warning signs of dementia. Here's why. When you enter deep sleep, your brain doesn't just rest, it cleans itself. During this stage, the brain's glymphatic system acts like a built-in detoxifier, flushing out waste proteins like beta amyloid, a key culprit in Alzheimer's disease. If you're not sleeping well, either too little or too fragmented, this natural cleaning process breaks down, allowing harmful substances to build up over time. Sleep problems linked to early dementia may include insomnia, trouble falling, asleep or waking too early without feeling refreshed, excessive daytime sleepiness, needing naps frequently despite a full night's sleep, especially in those who didn't nap before, unusual movements or behaviors during sleep, punching, kicking, shouting. These may signal REM sleep behavior disorder, which has strong links to Lewy body dementia. I once treated a woman named June, 74, who began having vivid nightmares. She often woke up shouting, convinced someone was breaking into her home. Her family feared it was a psychological issue, but further evaluation revealed REM disorder, an early sign of neurodegeneration. Even subtle signs like talking in your sleep, sleepwalking, or waking with a foggy brain are not just quirks of aging. They're possible cries for help from your brain. What can you do? Stick to a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends. Create a sleep-friendly environment, quiet, cool, and dark. Turn off screens an hour before bedtime. Limit caffeine and alcohol, especially in the evening. If you snore loudly or stop breathing briefly during sleep, get tested for sleep apnea. It's a major but treatable risk factor for cognitive decline. Don't underestimate sleep. It doesn't just recharge your energy, it preserves your memory, reasoning, and brain resilience. Your brain does its best housekeeping in at night. If your nights are disrupted, it may be a sign that your brain is struggling to recover and reset. In the next section, we'll explore a symptom that can go unnoticed for years, when the world seems to lose its color and you no longer enjoy the things that once brought you joy. It's not just sadness. It may be the emotional face of dementia. Number 5, emotional withdrawal, when joy quietly fades away. Have you stopped enjoying your favorite hobbies? Do family gatherings feel more like obligations than moments of joy? Are you slowly pulling back from conversations, events, or simple daily pleasures? Many people assume this is just getting older, but this emotional fading, this quiet withdrawal, could be one of the earliest signs of dementia. We often think of dementia as a memory problem, but long before memory slips, the brain starts to lose its ability to process emotion, motivation, and social connection. That's why apathy, social isolation, and loss of interest are now recognized as powerful early indicators of cognitive decline. What does this look like? You might stop initiating conversations or replying with just a few words. You may skip out on activities you once loved, like gardening, playing cards, or attending church. Some people begin to show a flat affect. Their face expresses little emotion, even during joyful or sad moments. You may find yourself going through the motions without really feeling connected to life. It's different from depression, though they can look similar. Depression is usually accompanied by feelings of sadness or hopelessness, but apathy in dementia often comes without sadness. It's more like a dimming of the emotional lights. You may not feel sad, but you don't feel much of anything. This happens because parts of the brain that regulate emotion and drive, like the frontal lobe and limbic system, begin to change. These areas are responsible for our sense of purpose, pleasure, and social engagement. When they're impaired, the spark that once energized your days begins to fade. I remember Mr. Cal, 78 years old, who loved fishing. His daughter told me he hasn't touched his rod in 2 years, not because of pain or illness, but because he just didn't feel like it. He wasn't sad, he just stopped caring. When we assessed him further, his tests showed early cognitive changes. So what can you do if this sounds familiar? First, take note if you're withdrawing more than usual, especially if it's gradual and persistent. Don't assume it's just your age. Emotional dulling deserves attention. Speak with your doctor. Screening tools can help distinguish between depression, apathy, and early dementia. To rekindle that emotional spark, try these gentle strategies. Re-engage with others, even in small ways. A weekly coffee, a walk with a friend, or a phone call. Do one small joyful activity each day, even if you don't feel like it. The act itself can reignite emotion over time. Practice gratitude journaling. Writing 3 things you're thankful for each night helps rewire the emotional circuits in the brain. Try music therapy, art, or light volunteering, all proven to enhance mood and cognitive function. Remember, apathy is not laziness or stubbornness. It's a symptom. And with awareness and action, you can support your emotional well-being and keep your spirit connected to the world around you. Next, we'll look at one of the clearest, but often misunderstood, signs of early dementia. Difficulty finding the right words. You may know what you want to say, but your brain just won't cooperate. Let's uncover what that struggle really means. Number 6, trouble finding words. When language no longer flows freely. Have you ever known exactly what you wanted to say, but couldn't find the right word? Maybe you start a sentence, pause halfway, and fumble for words, or you say shirt when you meant hat. You might even repeat the same phrase multiple times without realizing it. These aren't just harmless signs of getting older. They could be early symptoms of a condition known as aphasia, which often appears in the early stages of dementia. As the brain's language centers begin to decline, all aspects of communication, speaking, understanding, reading, and writing, can become difficult. People may struggle to name familiar objects, frequently pause mid-sentence to search for words, use incorrect words or substitute vague ones like thing or that, repeat themselves multiple times in a single conversation, mix up names of close family or forget them altogether. I remember Mrs. Helen, age 82, a retired elementary school teacher. She came to see me after noticing more frequent pauses when speaking. With tears in her eyes, she said, "I know what I want to say, but it's like the words just don't come." After an evaluation, we found early signs of Alzheimer's. This difficulty with speech can be frustrating and isolating. Many people begin to avoid conversations, fearing embarrassment, but catching this sign early can make a big difference. With the right support and exercises, language skills can often be preserved longer, and people can adapt with tools to stay engaged and expressive. What can you do? Don't dismiss frequent word-finding issues. Track how often they happen and in what situations. Share any noticeable changes with your doctor or neurologist. Consider speech therapy or language-based brain training exercises. Practice reading out loud, keeping a journal, doing word puzzles, or telling daily stories to loved ones. And if you're supporting someone going through this, be patient. Let them finish their sentences. Avoid correcting or rushing them. Just be present. That's often more powerful than words. Our ability to communicate is one of the most personal parts of who we are. When it starts to falter, it's not just frustrating, it's frightening. but it's also a signal, an opportunity to act early, learn more, and support the mind in staying connected. In our conclusion, we'll revisit these 6 early signs and explore how understanding them, no matter how subtle, can offer a chance to preserve memory, clarity, and connection for years to come. Let's reflect together on how the small things we notice today can protect our future tomorrow. Number 7, short-term memory loss. When recent moments begin to slip away. You just set your phone down on the table, but moments later, you're turning the house upside down looking for it. Or you've just finished breakfast, yet you find yourself asking, did I eat already? If these things are happening more often, don't simply chalk them up to just getting old, because short-term memory loss is one of the earliest and most telling signs of dementia. And recognizing it early can help slow its progression and preserve your mental clarity for years to come. Think of short-term memory like a small desk in your brain, a space to temporarily hold information before it's filed away. When the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for forming memories, starts to break down, that desk becomes cluttered and slippery. You may still remember your wedding day or your favorite song from decades ago, but you struggle to recall what you said just a few minutes ago. One of the most common signs is repeated questions. A loved one might ask, "What time is it?" And even after you answer, they'll ask again within minutes, completely unaware they've already asked. Other common signs include telling the same story multiple times in one day, forgetting recently scheduled events or appointments, starting a task, then forgetting what you were doing halfway through, difficulty following multi-step activities like cooking or paying bills. I remember seeing Mrs. Land, a bright, cheerful 74-year-old. Her son told me, "Lately, Mom keeps asking if my daughter has left for school, even when she's sitting right in front of her." That's not just forgetfulness. It's the brain quietly signaling distress. So what can you do? Write down daily reminders and place them in visible spots. Keep a journal. Reviewing it each evening helps reinforce memory. Play memory games like puzzles, word searches, or retelling the day's events. If the problem becomes persistent or worsens, consult a doctor early. And most importantly, don't get frustrated or upset when a loved one repeats themselves. They're not doing it on purpose. It's not them. It's their brain struggling to hold on. Offer gentle reminders, use visuals, and respond with patience. Memory is the thread that weaves our life's moments together. When it begins to fray, let's patch it gently, with understanding, love, and support. Coming up next, we'll explore a sign that hides behind emotions, but reveals deep neurological damage: poor judgment. When a once clear mind begins to trust scams or make unsafe choices, what's happening? Let's uncover the truth. Number 8, impaired judgment. When clear thinking quietly slips away. Have you ever heard of an elderly woman who sent thousands of dollars to a stranger, convinced that her grandson was in danger? Or a man who walked outside in the middle of summer, wearing a winter coat with no awareness of what he was doing? These aren't just quirks of aging, and they're certainly not simple forgetfulness. These are early and dangerous signs of something deeper, a decline in judgment and reasoning ability, often one of the earliest indicators of dementia. Under normal conditions, the frontal lobe of the brain helps us make decisions, assess risks, and control behavior. But as dementia begins to affect this area, the brain loses its ability to judge what is safe, appropriate, or real. What does that look like? Falling for scams, sending money to strangers, or making impulsive purchases. Dressing inappropriately for the weather or occasion, like pajamas to the store or sandals in a snowstorm. Struggling to manage finances, forgetting to pay bills, giving away large sums of money. Engaging in risky behavior, leaving the stove on, wandering into dangerous areas, or getting lost while driving. I remember Mr. Thomas, 81, a retired chief accountant known for his carefulness. But recently he was tricked into investing in a 20% weekly return scam. When his son tried to intervene, Mr. Thomas said angrily, "I know what I'm doing." But the truth was, his brain could no longer tell the difference between a sound decision and a dangerous one. If someone you love starts making uncharacteristic choices, don't dismiss it as stubbornness or aging. These could be the first signs of cognitive decline. Here's how you can help. Engage in calm, non-judgmental conversations to understand their reasoning. Set financial safeguards like spending limits or joint account oversight. Register them with call blocking services to avoid scams. Create a safe environment. Install automatic stove shutoffs. Check locks and secure dangerous areas. And above all, don't ignore it. Every unusual decision or strange behavior is not just a quirk. It may be your loved one's brain crying for help. Caught early, this symptom can lead to interventions that protect independence, safety, and dignity. Next, we'll explore a heartbreaking yet vital warning sign: spatial disorientation. When a loved one can no longer find their way home or believes they're living in a different time, it's time to take action. Let's dive deeper into how this manifests and what we can do. Number 9, disorientation, when your loved one can no longer find their way home. Imagine a crisp autumn afternoon. Your father steps out for a quick errand. 1 hour passes, then 2. You try calling. No answer. When you finally find him, he's sitting by the roadside, eyes wide and confused. He doesn't know where he is. The most heartbreaking part? He's lived in that same neighborhood for over 30 years. This is disorientation, one of the most alarming early signs of dementia. In a healthy brain, the regions responsible for spatial and temporal awareness help us understand where we are, what time it is, and why we're there. But when these areas begin to decline, even the most familiar surroundings start to feel foreign. It's not just forgetting street names, it's forgetting the entire purpose of your journey. Common signs of disorientation include getting lost in familiar places like one's own neighborhood, a local store, or even inside their own home. Forgetting why they left the house or where they were headed. Confusing the past and present. Calling a granddaughter my sister, or believing they're living in a past decade. Feeling anxious or overwhelmed in crowded environments or multi-room buildings. I'll never forget Mrs. Sarah, 79, once a strict and dependable school teacher. She used to water her garden every evening. One day she wandered into the neighbor's yard and, when asked her name, replied, "I'm waiting for my mother to pick me up." That wasn't forgetfulness. That was her brain losing its bearings. If your loved one frequently gets lost or turns around in familiar places, confuses day and night, mistakes family members for others, or grows increasingly nervous when leaving the house, please don't wait. This isn't just senior moments. It's a neurological red flag. Here's how you can help. Use GPS tracking devices in phones or smartwatches. Provide ID bracelets with their name, address, and emergency contacts. Label rooms and doors in the house with simple, clear images or signs. Avoid letting them go out alone if disorientation has already begun. Most importantly, never scold them for not recognizing you or getting lost. It's not a choice. It's not neglect. It's a brain crying out for support. When someone no longer recognizes their surroundings, they're not just lost in space. They're lost in time, in memory, in self. What they need most is not correction. It's connection. A calm voice, a steady hand, a heart that remembers when their brain cannot. We've just explored 6 of the most overlooked early warning signs of dementia: changes in posture, sensory confusion, muscle weakness, sleep disruptions, apathy, trouble finding words, and the deeper signs of short-term memory loss, impaired judgment, and disorientation. All of these have one thing in common. If you recognize them early, you can slow the disease's progress. You can preserve independence, clarity, and dignity for yourself or a loved one. And here's the best part. It doesn't require expensive pills or risky procedures. It begins with simple choices: healthy eating, quality sleep, gentle movement, and most importantly, love and understanding. Dementia isn't the end. It's a signal, a chance to take better care of your brain while time is still on your side. If you found this video helpful, please leave a 1 in the comments. If you're still processing and thinking it over, type 0. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on vital health advice just like this. And if you want to go one step further to protect your brain and your heart, watch our next video. These 8 signs of mini-strokes you must know. It could save your life. These silent strokes often go unnoticed, but they quietly damage the brain and raise your risk of dementia. Click now to watch, because knowing the signs might just save your brain and your life.